Welcome back to the OPL. It is still Headspace Round for Super Week. Spawn and Aegean bringing you the action live from PM on Sydney. You saw the Chiefs Esports Club, pretty commanding fashion, 28, 26-minute victories over Sin Gaming. And Destiny himself said it, trying to make that claim for the top spot.
Yeah, they are trying to make it so hard that they actually blew the bulbs in all the lights in the office because they all went down in the player studios. But yeah, hopefully they can stay on for series number 2.
Yeah, exactly right. I didn't mind casting in the dark.
Oh, it was pretty cute, pretty cute.
I mean, I play in the dark most.
Oh, that's bad for your eyes, dude. You gotta have a lamp on.
Nah, I have flux.
Oh no, I have flux as well and a lamp. You gotta. That's a 2 for you.
The 2 for 1.
Yeah,
all right.
Twice
Just
as
really
good.
protect your eyes. However, we've got another best of 3 coming your way. It's going to be the Bombers taking on Tectonic. And the Bombers and Tectonic both yet to find that series win, both sitting at 0-6. And you feel like, you know, maybe for Tectonic they're looking to build into the season, but this is not what we expected out of the Bombers.
Yeah, I think so. Speaking for Tectonic, firstly, I feel like week to week, we've been saying there have been that steady improvement out of the bottom 3 teams. They're like kind of getting better week to week, and that's exactly what you expect, like a steady trajectory. But then I feel like earlier on Friday against the Chiefs, they looked all out of sorts. They were getting 2v1 at the top lane, trying to dive Swiper. Didn't look good, and I feel like in the bot lane as well, things were just not shaping up.
Yeah, and I know that you said that you weren't really happy with their discipline. Like, if you fall behind, that's fine, but you got to play a little bit more, you know, well thought out, structured.
Cyclone was saying in the interview to Laura, they spent all week practicing discipline stalling, and that is exactly what we did not see for them against Chiefs. So see if they can pull it out today. Hopefully, for them, they don't have to stall.
So what
that
is
means you're behind.
What is discipline stalling? Because that seems like an oxymoron a little bit to me. Because normally in a game of League of Legends, when you're behind, you get the game dictated to you. Is that not the case?
Well, like it absolutely is, and that's why you give things safely. You can kind of tentatively look to hold, but you don't force plays where you don't have to. We saw Sin in the series early today. That wasn't discipline stall. We're talking about with the Azir, the Tristana, they were looking to scale, but they just kept opting into fights. So you just don't opt in. You trade, cross-map. We saw Charlie talking about that on the couch as well. Just look for things elsewhere and try and take farm where you can and like get to your item spikes.
Okay, cool. So we'll see whether they're able to do that today. However, to break down this game a little bit further, let's throw it to Laura and the guys at the Analyst Hangout.
Thank you very much, guys. We're going to talk about this game, but first, tomorrow, the High School League will be kicking off in New Zealand with 105 teams competing across the country. The feature game will be a rematch of the 2017 Grand Final with Mount Roskill going up against Mount Albert. The tournament will start at 5 p.m. New Zealand time on twitch.tv/highschoolleague. Don't miss it. More information on the competition can be found at oce.leaguehighschool.com. But to get onto this series, Bombers going up against Tectonic. One of these teams will walk out today with a win because they haven't gone up against each other before. We saw the Bombers improve quite a bit in week 5, I think we can say, while Tectonic are a team, as Bryce said, that have been steadily improving week to week. Guys, I'd love to get your thoughts and predictions on this series.
Yeah, I think Bombers overall are a team that have a lot of potential, right? I think their roster can have the potential to do well, but they just don't seem to be showing it at the moment. They have good performances off stage sometimes, and they have players who can really step up, but Tectonic at the moment seem like the stronger unit.
Yeah. From what I see as a player in solo queue and in other practice, I see that the Bombers are a much better team than they show on stage. But Tectonic, sort of like the reverse. In practice, they're decent but not the best, but on stage, they like, show up. They always perform on stage. So it's quite strange. So it's kind of like the clash of two styles, the team that can perform and the team that can't perform. So yeah, I'm expecting, like, I really want to say the Bombers should win, but I don't know. Just from history, it's just not the case, so it's probably going to end up with the Tectonic victory. I'd say 2-1 Tectonic.
Yeah, I mean, I really want Bombers to win. I mean, they've got the infrastructure behind them, they've got the investment, they got the imports, but it sucks to say, but I think Tectonic are going to win as well.
Seems like both teams are a little bit unpredictable coming into this series. I'm also going to give it 2-1 to Tectonic. But guys, I want to throw you a question. If you could pick one player from each team that you think has the ability to step up and carry their team on their back, who would it be?
I reckon sleeping is underrated. I think, I don't know, maybe he gets in his own head or something, I'm not sure, but I reckon if he gets it together and actually performs like he knows he can, I think that he could really show up as one of the better top laners in the OPL.
Who from Tectonic do you think?
I think from Tectonic, it's going to have to be their bottom lane, honestly. I think that their support, Tilting, he makes a lot of errors a lot of the time, but when they're playing a defensive lane, I think they can actually do quite well. Like, Low has a lot of pop-off moments sometimes. Like, his Siva is really good. His Caitlyn is, like, great as well. Like, he's really good at stalling the game out and playing, like, a good weak side.
Well, we're going to have to see if either of them step up today. But, guys, because it is our Headspace round, please don't forget that Headspace will be hosting a live chat over at eHeadspace this Tuesday, the 27th of February, between 7 and 8 p.m. More information on that live chat can be found at headspace.org.au/League of Legends. But to get this exciting series underway. Let's hand it over to Jake and Bryce.
Thanks so much. And I think this is a first match in a long time that Tectonic has come in
The favourite.
as now favourites,
Is it?
as voted by the analysts.
Yeah, I feel like it's the only match really that we've seen so far. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, even going into last year when they were, rebranded and all those other things, I think that there was a lot of doubt about how this young, I use immature not as in immature people, but immature roster
as players,
was going to come together. And I think that they have slowly built towards this moment. However, we want to hear from you as well. opltips.com.au is where you can actually have your say for some sweet, sweet prizes if you get the tips correct, that is. We're not interested in people that can't tip correctly at all. Hungry Jack's vouchers for everyone, as well as EXP boosts and RP gift cards coming your way. And I think that this match, for me, will come down to ease of execution comps. I've talked about this so much, but I feel like when you have stage nerves, as Bombers appear to have, when you don't necessarily set up the map, step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, as Tectonic sometimes does not do, just get multiple avenues of starting a fight in a good fashion. And we saw that with Bombers' comp against Order, actually, earlier.
Yeah, they're just picking the things like the Leona, MF, strong early game that can transition fine. And I guess the analysts have talked about it. And obviously, we don't get to see scrims here on the OPL broadcast. We can only judge them by what we see on game day. But there's just so much talk about how Bombers do have a good roster. They should be able to perform all of these shoulds. You know what I mean? They're just not coming up to it on game day and just picking easy to execute comps. You just pick yourself like a Braum, Ali, something like that, Zach, maybe a tank in the top lane, a bit engaged. It just makes it easy. You just hey, okay, we can pick these champions that are pretty one-dimensional. Sure, they know what we're doing, but if we can actually execute, then it can work.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, I always say this, but if you've got a Syndra, you've got a lot of kill potential, but she has to be able to land the Q. The stun needs to follow for the jungle to be able to get in. If you got Ryze, he literally clicks on you with EW and you don't move for 2 seconds. One of those champions is significantly easier to set up ganks than the other.
Not to mention, one of them is significantly better in the meta right now, Ryze.
For sure. I just mean, there is ways that you can play this game by making it easier for yourself in the earlier stages, and that's what I want to see.
And I mean, to flip the coin, looking at, they mentioned on the analyst hangout, the bot lane of Tectonic. I feel like they have been underperforming overall. They've been slowly getting better, but I think they shouldn't be the ones picking the Jaina lanes. We've seen that, obviously, Caitlyn Morgana last set is the only one that really has been successful a few times. We've seen it get punished time and time again, these ranged to melee matchups, and I feel like they're not a bottom lane that should be taking these finesse bottom lanes that are hard to execute. If you mess up once, which is what's happening, it just blows up in their face, and I feel like it's just detrimental overall.
Yeah, it certainly seems to be the case. However, let's get into the lineups for today's game. Starting on the blue side, it will be the Bombers. They've got Sleeping up in the top lane.
Seb is their jungler.
Well, Seb is their jungler. Luch, their mid laner. Tiger as AD carry and Rose's support. I was just waiting for the graphic, man. You can't do me in like that. Windows Monkey is their coach. Of course, they're going up against Tectonic. Paparize in the top lane. Swathe, their jungler. Shock in the mid lane. Low and Tilting are their AD carry and support. Johnny Cyclone Weatherly is their coach. Actually wrote a really good article for os.lolesports.com about mentality. He came in as the Chiefs. You had an analyst involved or a head coach, whatever you want to call it, strategy coach, and then Cyclone was more there for the facilitation of conversation. Tell me how that worked out.
Yeah, I feel like 100% he wasn't the strategic coach in terms of you see teams overseas like Path is a strategic coach of TSM and they have other people behind the scenes. That's
Weldon Green,
kind of things that happen. Volt was our strategic coach overall, but Johnny came through and tried to help with the facilitation of conversations, scrims, and I feel like we were a good team plagued by a few internal struggles, and he was kind of brought in to try and help us with that.
Okay, cool. And obviously now with a younger playing group, it seems to be having a lot more success in being able to implement some of those things. And I'm excited to track him because I think that as he learns League of Legends to that higher degree, we'll be able to have a lot more impact in that.
And I feel like he's actually a pretty interesting character because he's the only coach that you could just plug him in a business environment. He's a real professional dude, and I feel like that makes a lot of sense in the lineup of Tectonic. They have young, malleable players. You mentioned immature, not in how they are as people, but immature as players. They haven't been around for too long, and it kind of makes sense for him to be involved with a roster like that because it just gives him so much control, and they have been growing over the time.
Yeah, and he's also actually been a really high-level trampolinist, and I say that because I feel like if you have played professional blah anything, or you've been, had to put in discipline and training towards something, you can actually empathize with people that are trying to make it work in the esports ecosystem within Oceania.
There's a lot of overlap in terms of like mental fortitude, things like that. The mental game, which League of Legends largely is, you can play a grand final best of 5 series over 5 hours, and to be on and alert for literally 5 hours is very tough.
And not only that, I mean, I talk about sacrifice a lot as far as a League of Legends player goes. Don't get me wrong, it's a pretty sweet job. You get paid to play video games. That's sweet. But you also have to live in a house with like 5 other people around you all the time.
Yep.
A lot of the guys from Tectonic actually moved away from their home country in New Zealand to come over to Australia, living in Sydney to be able to do this. You do sacrifice, and I think that that's the similarity between everything at the high end. Eventually, if you want something bad enough, you're going to have to give up something else in your life. And I think that everyone in OPL goes through it. That's why there's so much pressure, because you don't make it work. You feel like, why the heck am I doing this? I've kind of like given up other avenues.
Yeah, and I feel like that's something that has kind of played the Bombers, I think, for the most part. Their play, Sleeping in particular, has been pretty vocal on social media that he's like having a rough time adjusting to stage games in OPL. And we talked about going from scrims to OPL and how much it's different. And I think Charlie said it on the desk, investment, infrastructure, and imports. They have the 3 eyes, but they just haven't made it work so far. So it's all about that transition.
And the thing about Sleeping is he is getting better. You can tell that fundamentally, like when you scratch at the surface, there's a really good top laner underneath Sleeping. He like lane wells. He actually has a pretty wide champion pool. We've seen everything from the Riven to the Nard to the game playing, things like that. So I'm just looking at it and I'm waiting for that one moment for the penny to drop on stage. Because it's happened with players in the past. Chippies, Fantics, all these guys that weren't necessarily big LAN players had moments where they became beasts and unstoppable.
Chippies went from literally being a LAN bed shitter to the best top laner in the OPL in the space of like 6 months. Went to Korea once and then came back and was just straight up the best by far. So I feel like it has potential to happen. We're kind of just waiting for it on Sleeping here.
And I feel like both Sleeping and Tiger have that added pressure of being imports. When you come from a massive region like EU West, you've been able to play Challenger Series over there. You have been in developmental teams and you're waiting for that breakthrough moment. When you finally get it in the minor region, there would be a little bit of them that want to come in and be like, I want to not be good in this league.
I want to be
I
the
want
best.
to crush this league. I want to make this league like remember my name for like years past as I have left and gone to other exciting moments. But right now, it has not happened, and I think that pressure would be weighing on the players. It's going to be a Camille Kazakhstan for Bombers as we jump into Champions League. Thank you so much for sticking with us, guys. Just a couple of technical delays. We're there now. Was Callista banned away by Tectonic?
Yeah, makes a lot of sense for a bot laner that has struggled here and there in the laning phase. They want to get rid of some of those wildcardy champions, and I don't think Low is a big Callista player. I feel like especially with a defensive support and tilting, prefers the range matchups. Makes a lot of sense to get banned that one away, especially on red side as well. It's first pickable champion.
Xayah as well. Maybe getting rid of the Callista Alley and the Xayah Rakan lanes by getting rid of the 80 carries. Valuing Tiger potentially more than Rosie if they are doing that.
I mean, not to mention, we talked about it on the couch, Low has a pretty decent Sivir. When you start impacting the 80 carry pool, you start pinching that one away. It does open up these shorter range wave clear sort of picks. And they have seen success on that one, so I think it makes a lot of sense coming into this game against the Bombers.
Certainly does. Azir banned away as well as the Skana. So we'll see what jungle pickups will be here. The tanks are left up and available right now.
Is that his like taunt or is that his recall or what is it?
I have no idea.
It's one of the buttons. Control 1, 2, 3, all 4. One of them does it, but not sure which one. Will be the Ezreal first pick.
Shock has finally not seen an Urgot ban. It's going to be Ezreal picked up, but Papra is just reminding them. Big Shock plays Urgot, guys. Did you forget?
Yeah.
You didn't ban it.
Maybe they forgot. Maybe it will be the downfall for the Bombers, but I feel like Rosie doesn't think so. He's having a bit of a laugh around.
Just a bit of a giggle, mate.
Yeah, a bit of a giggle. I rate a bit of a giggle on stage. Calm your nerves before the game starts. It's going to be the Braum lock-in, and instead of the Lucian, we saw the Lucian Braum at the Legacy's bottom lane was fairly successful early. See if they do try to replicate anything like that, but
I want to see if they get a dive jungler here. If they get swathed something like a Zac or a Jarvan, they actually just go with their 80 carry right now. I was going to say the Braum dive jungle plus Galio comp is still up and available, and we've seen that this morning played by TSM. We've seen Galio comps rise to popularity and kind of fall, honestly, without much rhyme or reason in the OPL.
A bit weird seeing him sway in and out of the meta so far. Obviously, does rely on that initial setup, so we see him paired with things like the Rakan, you mentioned the Braum, but also things like Camille, top and jungle as well. Bit of flexibility there.
Going to be Ali picked up for Rosie as well as Zoe for Luch.
But Tectonic are the team with these weird and wonderful counter picks in the mid lane. Do they have something? Because they've left it up. They have to know it's there.
How does Urgot Zoe go?
I have no idea. I have absolutely no idea. None. Zero.
See whether they
Zilch.
pick it.
I feel like maybe not.
GP awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
How did that one get through? Obviously, Paprise has played it earlier in the season to great success. Sleeping does have the ribbon counter pick, so maybe throwing the gauntlet here.
I mean,
but
right,
this is third pick on the red side. They can ban those things away.
For sure. Get rid of Nah. Get rid of Lucian.
Get rid of ribbon. See if they do
you have to get
respect
rid
it.
of Riven? I mean, I feel like you do, actually. I feel like if you haven't played the matchup a lot, Chippyzoo is obviously very confident in it, and he sacked the lane. He just kept shooting the Riven and didn't take any CS until he was like Trinity Force Sterix, and then he started stepping up
again. But the thing is, that's Dials, and they're a very strong laning team, and he can, I feel like, very reliably just sit back, and his bottom lane will do the work, his mid lane will do the work, but on the side of Tectonic, they've already just blind picked a very defensive bottom lane.
Maybe it's a mid-GP.
Maybe.
We haven't seen mid-GP in ages.
Get out of the sleep with the W, eat the oranges.
Yep.
Maybe that actually is the answer. That could make a lot of sense, but they are banning away the counters in the top lane. We've seen Praedyth play the Lucian into that one. So if they do ban away the Riven, you have to expect it's going top, but there's always that potential.
Or they've just thrown away 2 bans for the mine game.
Yeah, potentially. They do ban it. That'd make a lot of sense, and then you just assume it's top.
They take jungle right now. They take a counter pick, and then you counter the counter with a counter.
How many counters?
About 3, I think.
Okay.
I can't believe you didn't count my counters.
Oh. Scar. Counter. In the mid lane. But one more ban going to be coming out of the Bombers. 5 seconds before they lock that one in. They're banning away the Malzahar, so they're trying to ban away these decent matchups into the Zoe. See if they hit the Rise.
Rise would be the other one, but they actually don't. They go for Swaith's Gragas.
I feel like banning things away from Swaith kind of makes a lot of sense. He does lock in the Jarvan, and he's played that one before, but I feel like Tectonic's success has rested a lot on his shoulders. He can have a very good game, and they can look good overall as a team, but he can have a rough one as well and look pretty bad overall.
Yeah, absolutely agree with you there. Seb's best jungler probably has been Sejuani so far as well. So they're going to be able to pick him up. One of the quicker farming tanks against Jarvan, who did get nerfed pretty hard on this patch, to be honest. Forced him right down. And look at him, he's got those piercing blue eyes. You just want to see him in Meta more.
Men of War?
Meta more, I said.
Oh,
not Men of War, come on.
I was like, what?
I reckon if he took his helmet off, he would actually look like
What's
your old
haircut?
teammate, Spooks. He's got a bit of a chiseled jawline.
What's his haircut? What does Jarvan have under that?
I don't know. I don't know if he does
he
have hair,
bald?
does he?
Does he have a haircut? Does he?
I reckon he's bald.
Okay.
It's going to be a Fiora picked up into the Gangplank, so carry versus carry matchup.
But this is one of those champions. Fiora can be pretty risky. They're expecting it to be the top GP. There is always that potential of a flex. Fiddlesticks is the answer, apparently. I don't know about that one.
Fiddlesticks is interesting. And I'm going to hold actually taking this seriously. It's going to be Galio.
Okay.
All right, cool. Galio's is a counter pick.
I want to know why Fiddlesticks is interesting. Hit me with it.
In the off-season, it was played a lot in mid lane in Korea. The E was just like doing silly amounts of damage, actually pushes the wave like fairly reliably.
Yep.
But he's squishy as all heck. So he would just get one hit by Zoe. But yeah, I saw it played too often in solo queue to be like this.
For it to be a meme?
Yeah, for this to not rear its head at least once at some point.
There has to be someone willing to force that one out.
GLP Fiddlesticks next patch in the mid lane. Calling it right now.
GLP got a little bit of a change. I'm not sure about the stats, but I know the icicles go slimmer.
Yeah, but further.
Yeah.
It got 20% cooldown reduction.
Yeah.
That's the big thing.
Might not just be an Aurelion Soul item anymore.
But it is just another Galio comp. You got Braum, you got Jarvan, you got Galio flying in, 2 carries. And Galio does fine into Zoe. Because as soon as she hits you with a Sleepy Trouble Bubble, you just start winding up your W. If she actually pops in, she auto-attacks you because of the taunt.
Yeah.
And then it breaks it, and you don't get all that much damage off the back end of the paddle star. If she doesn't go in, then it just doesn't do all that much damage because of the damage reduction.
Yeah, but I feel like Tectonic actually have a very good all-round comp. They have double global in the Galio and the Gangplank, and they have the Braum in the bot lane, so it's kind of incentivizes Bombers to want to play around there, and that's really where their proactivity came from in their recent games when they picked the Leona, the MFs like that. So they want to try and get things done in the bottom lane, but then GP ulti can come down, Galio can float down the river, so it might be fairly rough for them.
So it could be, but at the same time, you have to say if there's ever a game that has no pressure or has a ton of pressure for the Bombers, it's this one right here. Really, the chances of making playoffs for these two teams is very, very slim.
But it has to start here.
Has to start somewhere.
Yep. You have to think also it has to start with a 2-0. Got to be picking up those 3 points, especially. These are teams that could definitely 2-0 each other, so fairly interesting. But we are onto the Rift. Game 1 versus Bombers and Tectonic. And Laura is standing beside Windows Monkey.
Thank you very much, guys. I'm here with Windows Monkey. Now, Tectonic are a team that are constantly pulling out these uncommon niche picks. Is it difficult to prepare for a team like that?
It's not too difficult in preparation. I think that most of their players are really strong on a few champions. So in the pick ban phase, we went for some target bans onto a particular player, in this case Swaith, so not too hard.
It seemed like the pick ban phase was a bit of a mind game. There was a few champions that looked like they could have been flexed around the field. But what's the biggest threat you can see for the Bombers coming into this game?
I mean, at the end of the day, the biggest threat is if we just don't play as well as we have been in practice. So it's more going to be an internal focus, make sure that we play to the best that we can. Yeah.
Well, what are the Bombers' goals this game, and what do they have to do to achieve it?
I mean, the goal is obviously to win. In terms of achieving it, we have a really strong composition for split push and pick. So,
well, best of luck with this series, and thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you very much.
I agree. Split push and pick does seem to be in the name of the game when you're playing a Fiora. A little bit of a different Fiora this time around. Gone with the Relic Shield for the Bandit procs as well as a Targon's. So it's going to be matched, Paparazzi and Sleeping exactly the same build right now.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty weird, actually. When you see the gangplank given over, you see things like the Riven. You want hard punish lanes that you can gank, you can put him behind. But in this case, he's just trying to match the scaling. Already got himself a sack of gold as a bit of a fight is going on level 1.
Yeah, massive fight going on level 1 as Paparazzi gets chunked out. However, now will take a Klepto proc himself in response. Doesn't get access to the creep wave, so will lose a creep there. However, this is going to be a big sustain lane for both of them. They've got 3 pots. They've got themselves, health regen as Paparazzi actually goes for a good trade. Sleeping ducks in.
Again, gets himself that vital. Bubble does land, so a nice trade in the mid lane, but it's basically what Galio does. We talked about just wants to weather the storm as best as possible. Started up with that Dark Seal, actually. Nothing like the Corrupting Pot, the Doran Shield, anything like that.
Yeah, actually, extended potion duration is really important as you're going to take inevitable harass. And the ability to not have to keep buying potions does save you gold in lanes like this, so Shock goes for the double combo there.
Yes. War of attrition here for the Galio, and he opts in for that value. Swaith was kind of poking his head around the mid lane, but he did show. So they know where he is. Going to go just fall back to his blue buff. Couldn't get anything done. Galio not in range to land any CC, so the Jarvan flag and drag would not have been around. Bottom lane fairly even so far. Just kind of matching each other and see if we get any early ganks out of Swaith, because I feel like that's been his biggest drawing card, as opposed to Seb, who just likes to farm up.
Yeah, for sure. And you can see Swaith one more time, ducking his head around mid lane, potentially looking for the Scuttle Crab right now. See bottom lane shove achieved for the Ezreal as well as the Alistar, just due to minion dematerializer. So very nicely done there. They know that Swaith was on the Scuttle. It's been pinged out.
Junglers might just run into each other. No, Swaith actually looking
Swaith
towards the
mid
Zoe.
lane, and this should be telegraphed from loose. Sleepy Trouble Bubble hits, however, will have to burn the flash as well as the cleanse.
And honestly, I have to critique it. A little bit of a misplay out of Swaith. He was behind the Zoe. He's taunted up and he was waiting for the EQ to cleanse flash away. If he just holds his gap closer, walks up to the Zoe, wait for him to flash, he can potentially just secure that first blood. But no, he pulls the trigger early. Seb looking for an answer here.
Yeah, exactly right. Will be spotted out, gets that ward over the wall. Now we'll see Swaith as he passes back into his jungle. Swaith is a camp behind, also gets Scryers orbed. But at the same time, no summoner spells on Zoe means that with flash available, we've already seen a couple of Galios explode this weekend, potentially another one for Shock on the table.
Have to see if he returns to the mid lane. Already been there twice in just under 3.5 minutes there, so third time you think. With no cleanse, with no flash, Zoe should be falling down. CC so reliable from the Galio. Doesn't even need to land his E now that there's no summoners out. Can just get in range, land the taunt. Flag and drag combo, very easy to stack on top of those.
Certainly is. You see Paparazzi prepping a barrel to get out of dodge right now. Is behind pretty big in creeps, and Sleeping goes aggressive onto him. Will be able to grab himself a mana pot, maybe just to sell that one. However, again, ducks in, gets himself a red pot this time.
That's a big deal, especially in the top lane. I feel like in bot lane they are slightly less relevant because you have more variables, you have more champions, double the amount of abilities flying around. But in a straight up 1v1, red pot, that extra health, especially in a pretty spicy matchup like the Fiora and the Gangplank, can mean a lot.
And you have to say that right now, Sleeping is just outright winning that 1v1. He's got burnt more potions, but that's kind of a range versus melee matchup at this stage of the game. Is now Seb looking for Swaith in the jungle, potentially just going to look to smite this one away as he has his available.
Tilting is actually walking up the river towards mid lane. Zoe might just be in a bit of trouble here. Ganked from the bottom.
Yeah, this is actually really nice setup. You can see there's multiple people here. Sleepy Trouble Bubble, in goes Tilting. They burn summoner spells, and they pick up first blood.
Swaith really wanted that one flashed over the wall into the bush. Flag and drag picks himself up the first kill. Slightly behind in farm right now, but looking to take a few camps away from Seb.
Yeah, that's actually really nicely done. I mean, at this stage of the game, Galio's just going to get tanky. Swaith, especially if he's going to build something a little bit cheesier, like maybe a warrior into some tank stats. Don't have to be the tankiest fellow as a jungler if you have Galio and Braum on your team, to be honest.
100%. They've already got the front line available. He can afford to try and snowball this one out, but you have to commend Tilting on that play. The bot lane fairly even overall. They had the push priority, and it looks like Tiger's actually pulling the wave, which is not something you really see too often in 2018. Freezing in lanes this early, not really a big thing, but he notices that window, rotates to mid. No summoners on the Zoe, so pretty clean execution out of Tectonic.
And just to clarify, when Ejim says you don't see it that often, he means you just don't see it.
Ever.
And this is why you don't see it, because if you don't have pressure on the turret, you achieve 6 creeps, but teams are so good at using tempo now that they just go somewhere else and bully you.
And that's exactly what we saw. That's exactly what we saw. Not to mention, you feel like the communication should have been there. If they're going to freeze this bot lane, they're going to pull it back. You have to know that Braum can walk around. He can go mid lane. No summoners. Luch was just such a big target. It was very broadcast, but he just walks up the river, finds his way in behind him.
Honestly,
CC
it just
lands.
might go again. They haven't got good vision around this mid lane. Sweep is out. He pops forward. Ooh, that is pushing in right now. You can see Shock is just posturing for one more time, being able to go in. However, Flash is about to come back available for Luch.
And this is the time you actually do see the freeze. More in mid lane, you pull that wave in. I'm surprised Shock just didn't actually pull that one back. No vision on top side. Swaith did sweep the bush, and Luch is kind of having to use his ulti for the most part to farm the back lane. Can only get access to half of the minion wave here. So they could have actually expended more time, but they choose to just go back. Swaith wants to pick up his red buff.
In top lane, Sheen has been picked up right now for Papyrus, so not all that much punish in the lane, to be honest. And you can see kind of Vamp Scepter plus Pickaxe picked up for sleeping, so a better shop.
And he just wants to sustain. That's what the Vamp Scepter says. Overall, just know he's going to keep getting queued in the head. Just wants to be able to sustain that one back up. Use his ulti, less about killing the gangplank and just about maintaining pressure and maintaining that health there.
See whether Shock now tries to get around Summoner's Rift. You can see potentially looking for a dive bottom lane, trying to sweep out potentially some vision.
Oh,
Rosie goes in, headbutt pulverized. Door is up, Galio ulti on top of him, gangplank ulti dropped. And you just have to say, what the heck is that?
Just such confusing timing. The globals are available for both solo laners, and they both come down. Rosie not even level 6, so him going in, he's hard committed. And not to mention the jungler Seb is actually on top side giving blue buff away to Luch on the Zoe, so just no backup there, straight up 2v2. And they just fall down. They bring more members in for Shock.
And that's a nice response from the lineup of Tectonic. However, that engage should not have happened. And now Tiger going to be autoed. Already going to have to burn that as the flash comes out as well. Very nice combo from Swaith that time around. Held the correct CC.
Absolutely. Holds on to that flag and drag. Uses the ulti first so we can buffer that. Actually,
oh, very nice. Sleeping in the top lane, looking for a kill. Papyrus did wedge himself against the wall.
Yep, luckily. Sleeping. Use that ulti there, so looking for a bit of a trade, but Seb is now up here trading the other side of the map.
Yeah, you can see that Papyrus still trying to get himself against the wall. He wants to keep this off his turret. If it crashes, he dies. Teleport has been used into the mid lane. So Papyrus will just have to sack this wave, you feel. Sticking around still.
Just over half HP, no Galio ulti available.
RNG very hard on that proc. They go in. Seb takes a lot of damage. That's a nice orange to save his life. Flashes after it. Actually trades 1-for-1. Papyrus Styles on the Bombers.
Yeah, he uses his flash. Gets both out of the top and jungle of the Bombers. Nice. Can't hold the turret, you know. He's got no ulti. Does try to clear out some of the wave, but Tectonic are looking to answer on the other side of the map once again.
They certainly are. A dive threat is still here. Ultimate goes down. Rosie stunned up. In comes Shock. Layering the CC beautifully. Swaith just lives on the back end of that fight. And Tectonic now looking to push for first turret.
And this is two, honestly, odd plays we've seen. Normally in the 2v1 at the top side, you'd expect the gangplank to just walk away. Once again, 4v2 down bottom. Rosie steps up. Level 5, no access to the unbreakable will. They can't chain that CC, can't break out of it.
Going very low. Zoe is in the river. They're going to have to get out of here. Sleepy Trouble Bubble, where is it? Where is the block? TP coming in for Sleeping as well. Misses. Shorts it. Flash available for Shock. He should be able to get out of this one. Does use it now. Stun will go out off the 90 caliber net, but very good disengage right now from Tectonic.
Yeah, but you have to think, can they get more out of it? They have to look. TP expended. Sleeping did not even get himself an assist. The turret did also go down, so Just TP's down to this lane, going to walk back up to top side. The Paprise is pushing that one in, but can they match the turret? Looks like they will, potentially not.
Yeah, all of a sudden Gangplank ulti drop. That's the one thing you have to remember is Gangplank is so good at holding these from across the map. Kind of in a similar way of Ornn. It's just so hard to race versus Gangplank comps. And right now, Paprise is equal in farm, has himself boots too, as well as makings of Trinity Force. And we're seeing another Gangplank just not be punished enough in the early game.
And that's the thing, they looked for the punish, but he outplays it, trades the 1-for-1, and that means that Tectonic can make a play on the other side of the map, and they did so. He holds his turret, he gets basically the other side of his map, the other side of the team, Tectonic, he gets them a bot turret as well, and can save it as well with the ulti.
Yeah, exactly right. You can see right now, lane swap has come out. All of a sudden, Tectonic looking to get some deep vision, looking to control this side of the map. It will be a tank Jarvan picked up, about to run into a Fiora. Will have to flag and drag out here. Good ultimate from Seb. Rosie will corral him.
Nice
However, he flashes it. In goes the Galio and will get stunned up on the back end. Ultimate pop, and you can see blocks that very nicely. Shock will fall down. Bombers play that exchange very well.
Yeah, absolutely. Bit of a miscommunication between Swayth and his mid laner there. The Galio comes out despite the flash, so he sacrifices his life there. Mid laner going down. Not much wave clear on the lineup of Tectonic, and Bombers are looking to punish mid.
Yeah, certainly isn't. Smite not available, so not going to be able to take that cannon creep down anytime too. That's going to be the proc out of the Demolish. Finally tilting as well as low come in, but that's 3/4 health on the mid lane turret.
Yep, it's a big chunk gone as the ulti comes out. Nice little chunk. Of course, we have not even mentioned this game. First Drake is the Ocean. So no Infernals this game like we saw in the last set. But neither team really opting into any early fights around that one. The bot lane for Bombers is going back up the river.
It's a little bit strange they actually swapped the map on its head, given it is Ocean.
Yep.
The reason for that is I feel like Gangplank actually just wants to stay in laning phase for a little bit longer. And Ocean Drake actually really helps him do that. Mana as well as health regen is going to always help Gangplank out more than it's probably helping a Fiora. So, you know, potential that they can continue to take turrets here. I mean, also potentially in a long lane that Gangplank just gets taken down.
Oh, nice trap.
Yeah, very nice trap. Tiger in big trouble.
Aggressive E forward, and he takes a bad trade, not to mention maybe not as impactful, but Zoe into the Galio. He just wants to be poking him down further and further, so would have been a nice pickup for both the solo laners of Tectonic.
Completely agree. You can see top lane turret is going to come under fire here as Swayth comes in, looking for some vision. Seb and Luch both on the top side of the map for Bombers. That turret is actually half health. Paprise had put in some work earlier.
Yeah, with that TP fizzling on the bottom hand side of the map for the Bomber, Sleeping goes down there. About half of his turret does go down. Luch looking for something, but with these flip lanes, bit of a stalemate for the most part. About 1.4 thousand gold lead.
And Shock is in unkillable range unless he gets ultied by the Fiora right now. There's no way that Luch and Seb, and potentially even Tiger, who's still stacking a tier, is going to be able to put enough into a Galio to take him down at this stage of the game. Really, if they go into a 5v5 teamfight, that's Sleeping's job to be able to ult up the Galio, start proccing those vitals.
Yeah, but you have to think also the Fiora was not picked for that. So it's going to be really rough for the 4 of Bombers. Yep. Because Sleeping just wants to sit in the side lane. He wants to play this war of attrition. 2 kills to his name now.
Yeah, he's
about
actually
a 20
pretty
CS
fair.
gold lead. Sorry, 20 CS lead. Means he will start bullying around the Gangplank for the most part, chipping away at his turret. Tectonic looking for the Rift Herald, but members of Bombers are rotating over. Can they get there in time?
Could be a team fight. It's only a rank 1 GP ultimate, so at this stage of the game, definitely not the most impactful. They're looking to peel off right now, see whether they hold the leash on the side of
Seb
Bombers.
does, actually. Clearing out a few wards here. Just going to reset back to Tectonic, kind of juggling the aggro between the two teams. But everybody will just reset, go back to the lanes, want to shove those ones out.
Yep, just jockey for position. Seb actually had nothing to do on the map. All of his camps are down, so you can see that he's still floating in that area, whereas Swayth has 2 camps in his Wraith as well as his Wolves up and available. Sleeping gets a good chunk there. Level 11 now has the 2nd rank in his ulti. Potentially can look for an all-in, even under that turret.
Yeah, 100%. That's the dive potential coming out. Rank 2 ulti means that extra healing coming out, so Paprise once again just hugging the wall. Doesn't want to give him access to that vital. But there is also the potential the Galio can get bot lane if he does look for the all-in. Could be punished by Shock. We've seen him go bot already. Swayth looking for something onto Seb, but
breaks that shield. However, not able to get any follow-up damage. You can see they're still trying to hover around this Rift Herald area, trying to block out a lot of Zoe damage. Now, rank 2 ulti is available for Paprise. Maybe that's what they were looking for in this fight. Low takes a couple of Mystic shots to the head. Swayth is getting chunked out by Herald right now. Does just leave the pit.
Oh, looking for the steal with the Braum Q onto the Scuttlecrab, but does not get it. Bombers pick that one up, but How many times do Tectonic have to set up for this Rift Herald and for it to fizzle before they stop actually doing it?
Yeah, definitely not the best objective right now, it looks like, to take. Swathe could be using that time to, gank this Fiora, potentially look to pressure top lane turret. Because what's happening right now is Sleeping kind of is just building a CS lead and slowly but surely dragging Bombers into a very good position.
Yeah, gone from 20, approaching 40 now, looking to steal away the Grump. And I mean, like, Swathe can happily go bot lane. Paprise has the TP and the ulti, so if they force him out and Bombers look to make a play on the other side of the map, the top laner of Tectonic can TP up there, make it a 4v4, so there's potential to match on the other side as well. They do have the global advantage overall.
Yep, for sure. Completely agree with you there. And right now, Galio's kind of just stuck in his lane, getting further and further behind in CS. Paprise kind of stuck in his lane, doing the exact same thing. Really, the only playstyle this suits is low, so a lot of pressure being transferred to the 80 carry. As Swathe, who had a good tempo lead, is now falling behind, and the rest of the map kind of just stagnating.
I mean, maybe this is what Johnny meant when he said discipline stalling.
What, when you're ahead, you stall out
Yeah,
disciplinely?
I don't know. We saw it on Friday. Did not work out, but maybe this is the answer.
They're
Once
back
again,
on
going
it.
on the Rift. He went over the back of the wall, so the Crab doesn't actually see him. Bombers might have no idea this is happening, so Swathe will take a little longer, but if he doesn't bring over his friends, we'll be able to pick this one up unspotted. No, actually. He just walked out of the pit. That would have seen him.
On the way, pings do come across.
Yep.
Seb is kind of in his jungle after a hard reset, and the bottom lane will get here. So I feel like this time, it will work out.
3 is the lucky number.
In comes the Paddle Star. Where is it? Nah, not there. And you can see Rift Herald is picked up. Swathe now probably needs to get out of that pit. Will be able to do so.
But maybe this is exactly what they needed. The top lane turret is incredibly low with the Caitlyn Braum. If they float the Galio pressure up there, he could just sack away, but they can break down that turret. Then Rift Herald can be used to break mid. So they do have options right now.
Yep.
But Bombers playing it pretty defensively so far. Staving off things left, right, and center. They stalled that Rift Herald for a fairly long amount of time. They bought themselves about 5 minutes, I believe.
Cannon upgrade coming through for Gangplank there. First one of the game, as we hear him have a little bit of a chat in the background. Really interested to see how Luch starts playing this laning phase. Because you see, he's getting the push every single time, but he's not really leading. And this is kind of what I expect out of Luch. Luch is a stay-at-home mid laner. He accrues himself 12 CS more than any mid laner in the competition, but you can see he's not dipping into Fog of War really all that much. He's just got a very defensive pink near his blue buff.
Yep.
So he can go into that part of his jungle if he wants. As Seb goes over the wall, potentially will be stunned up. Big TP into the backline, as you mentioned. Tilting already burnt his ultimate. In comes Fiora. Where is the Gangplank ultimate? Low flashes, tries to get the heck out of dodge. Galio's coming in as well. However, they should just look to sack. Nice pick right now for the Bombers.
And both TPs do actually complete here. Galio comes up as well, uses his ulti. So big cooldowns.
Sleeping maybe went too far here, steps forward. However, we'll just be able to riposte that and get out.
But that's a 4v5 in the top lane, and they do get a kill onto the Bombers. Luch, stay-at-home mid laner, you mentioned. Still there, looking to take away this turret. It's very low, about 3/4 already gone. So they're floating their members down already. They're going to be able to pick this one up.
Will fall, and that was actually a really bold play from Seb, going over that wall. If there is a member there early, that can potentially go horrible as you die as the rest of your team is trying to join. However, not the case. Now you can see trying to contest for that turret.
Yeah, but no TPs and no globals available for Tectonic right now, and the bot wave is pushing in. They're not going to want to sack that one, but it looks like they might just be to try and defend this top lane out of turret.
And you can see they're sending low back right now. The True Shot Barrage was actually fired at him to try and pick up a kill.
So he does
was not able to do so. He goes back and will be able to pick up that bottom lane turret.
5v3.
I think it's just Gangplank ulti. You have to drop it on this wave potentially. There it is.
They hold it, they buy some time. Low gets about half of the wave in the bottom lane. You saw him walk out of the base, didn't even wait for the healing because he wants that XP. Flip footwork will just heal him up ever so slowly as he takes that one out.
Probably going to be looking for a shop anyway.
Yep, pretty close to his IE. About halfway through that build order there. You see just the crit cloak and the recipe to take that one up.
So Luch is massive in CS. I mean, you can see 207, 19 minutes into the game. He's ahead of the clock. 0-1-1 means that he has not got the most gold on the map, but once again, he is 700 gold up, and this is kind of Luch's playstyle. You're seeing it right now. He's kind of an annoying, frustrating laner, and this is why people like Swiffer, people like Fantis used to say they didn't really like playing against Luch, was because if you don't make your plays around the map count, then he just kind of beats you through a war of attrition kind of style.
We talk about being on the clock with things like the Callista. Maybe Luch just puts the enemy mid laner on a clock full stop because he just farms it up, accrues that CS lead. But I think the biggest thing with the gold value is this is the first time we've seen a Gangplank actually be down in gold, about 1,000 to the Fiora. So the Relic Shield Klepto match, by sleeping right now, he's obviously picked up those 2 kills as well. But if you take away that kill gold, he's fairly even. He's completely fine in that 1v1 matchup.
We
Can
see
hold his
Rift
own.
Herald dropped in the middle lane. Maybe a bit of an Expiration Herald, to be honest, because there is no Caitlyn here to help set up the siege. It's going to get 1 charge, but now they ulti onto Tilting.
Galio.
Ult will come out from Galio to try and get in there. Rosie is caught off from the rest of the team. Very nice taunt onto 2 members.
Out.
However, they don't continue the fight. Very interesting that Low is just continually pushing in the top lane.
Yeah, bold call out of Tectonic. They know that they can CC them and buy enough time. Sleeping actually rotated over. It looks like he's
Looking
stealing
for
away
a
the
blue
blue buff
buff,
right now. Does get it instead of pushing that wave all the way in. Looking for Paprise right now. Ulti.
Yeah, Axe actually burned the flash because the vital proc that he was going to look to protect is
does get
gone.
the barrel.
Gets the barrel as well. So this turret now genuinely under fire. And Paprise really starting to lose out in the side lane.
Every time they burn the Galio ulti onto something in the forward, just means Sleeping has so much pressure in the side lane. Paprise has to respect it. Flashes away from that one.
And this is what I was kind of saying yesterday when Mimic was playing the Fiora. I feel like Fiora players should burn their ult more than they do.
Yep.
And we've seen that out of Sleeping. As soon as he sees someone, he just ults them. He got a flash that time. He's got a couple of chunks times before. And I really think that this is the pressure that you need to see out of a side lane Fiora. 55 CS right now is the advantage. And if the game goes much longer and he continues to play this way, he will just be inside the base, and there won't be anything Paprise can really do about it.
A few split pushes that can actually sit inside the base and do really annoying things. We saw Mimic pull that off, try to TP to Baron. Unfortunately got stopped by the Shockwave. Bombers, once again, looking at the top side, they're just trying to break this outer. Gangplank ulti is available, so we'll see if they actually choose to use it on the top wave, because Fiora's already under his turret. Paprise, no flash available. Genuine kill threat we're just mentioning. Fiora's ulti is available, so if he uses that one top, does Sleeping pull the trigger? Can he get a solo kill under the turret?
And I wonder if there is a point that Paprise actually starts winning this 1v1. Does it happen at Sterix? Does it start happening a little bit later on as you get like IE? As if one more time he gets ultied up and he's going to fall down. Ultimate used, but Sleeping does not care. Top laner of the Bombers right now is taken over.
Yeah, absolutely. 3 kills to his name right now. Picks himself up a nice little Klepto proc. Gives some vision as well. Gets a cheeky little ward, and that was the ulti burn from Gangplank. Bombers actually looking for the Dragon. That's going to be the second Ocean of the game. But without that cooldown on the Gangplank, do they look for something on the top side as well?
Doesn't get any better if Shock matches it either. I mean, Shock's actually easier to dive right now, I feel, for the Fiora.
Straight up, full MR. Got the Abyssal Mask. Gone for the Merc trades as well. Fiora does not care about either of those.
And we said that potentially Tectonic looked like the better team. Well, right now, it does not matter because this is not a team game. This is just hold the map while Sleeping takes over in a 1v1 situation.
Yeah,
and
Pabu was right.
It's working.
Yeah, Pabu called it. Said Sleeping was the guy to put his team on his back, and right now it looks like the case. The bottom lane of Bombers looked real rough, really early. Rosie sitting 0-2 and 2. Was 0-2-0 at a certain point in this game. Fell behind. 2 questionable plays coming out of the bot lane, you have to think, but Sleeping really the shining light for the most part, and Luch just sitting untouched mid lane.
But at the same time, you have to question what the 4-man unit is doing because you've got a Jarvan and a Galio. If you want to start a team fight,
you can.
You can. You can ult Seb and instantly the team fight will begin. However, they're just kind of holding the waves right now and they're falling behind.
I feel like they're falling into the trap of using globals reactively.
Yep.
They have to stop using Galio ulti to save members. I think that's twice now Shock has actually ulted Tilting or Swaith when they've been caught out by the Sejuani. You see Seb fling that ulti, CC up a tank, and they use it to try and save their teammate.
In saying that, the scaling is certainly there.
Yep.
They've got themselves a Galio who just gets better as items come in. They've got themselves a Caitlyn and a Gangplank. Not really all that much of alarm bells ringing just yet. As Luch actually goes over that wall. So Swaith looks for a mini knock-up. That doesn't do much.
But I feel like 6 items is the cap because Bombers are just slowly getting better and better. Sure, Tectonic can scale, but they're 50 CS down mid, 80 CS down top. These leads are just getting more and more in the solo lanes. And so, sure, they can scale up nicely. The Caitlyn is a little bit ahead, but both their solos going down. And obviously, once Bombers get to 6 items, that will start mattering. They will be at their cap. They won't be able to get back up there, so the scaling will come through from Tectonic. But looking pretty rough for the most part. Bombers should be in the driver's seat right now. 3,000 gold lead. 4-2 turrets. They're looking around mid lane Tectonic.
You can see again in the top lane.
Oh,
Once again, Swaith has Paprise has been ulted. However, Sleeping this time might have bitten off more than he can chew. He has to flash out. Mid lane turret will fall as well.
So, Sterax might just be the point you were mentioning. Picks up that item, suddenly can hold
Ulti,
his
however,
own.
onto Tilting will be flashed out of. Sleepy Trouble Bubble lands as well. Shock one more time defensively will ultimate, and they will dash away as a unit. Continual slows are coming out there. In goes Rosie. Massive knockoff. And you can see front to back teamfight. Tilting will just live. No, he will fall down. And that is Bombers taking a teamfight victory.
Yeah, absolutely. Sleeping on the bot side. Could not quite complete that kill. No GP ulti available, so Rosie pulls the trigger. Seb locks down Tilting, and they go for the extended team fight, continuing onto the Baron.
Yeah, exactly right. Teleport's available for both top laners. Do they just pull the trigger? Yes, they do. In they come. You can see Low has already chased them away. So that will just fizzle. Teleport used from Sleeping.
So, pretty decent cooldown right now of Sleeping, but they walk away from the Baron. Gold lead still in their favor, and you have to think, as you mentioned, another defensive use of the Galio ulti means it's Tectonic fall behind in this team fight. CS leads getting bigger and bigger. Sleeping going to contest this blue buff in the side lane.
Yeah, potentially pulling into the brush will save it. Don't really want to dash over a wall blind. So you think that potentially Shock going to get his second, I think, blue buff of the game. Don't really think he's had all that much else to do with it. Not the best game from Shock, to be honest. He's 60 CS down. Hasn't really been as impactful on this Galio as you would like to have seen.
I mean, that's... Oh, actually. Luke,
Goes
does he
over
land the
wall.
bubble?
Does not land the bubble, however, now it will hit. And Shock, just in the middle of 4 members, will get CC'd up and will fall down. There is just no one else there to help him. This could be the Bombers now pushing in on mid lane.
Yeah, 5 members of the Bombers lineup taking it straight up mid. Tectonic are looking to defend. Barrels being set up, but can he do enough? It's going to be taken out by Tiger. Nice proactivity out of him. Luch looking to zone people off the turret to the left-hand side. Low can't get into here. But Demolish proc coming out of Rosie. Will it be enough? No, Wave will fall down.
Yeah, Luch goes forward. Actually doesn't get crit there. 80% crit and not actually landing it is a pretty massive deal. You can see, meanwhile, the Fiora in the bottom lane, 2 levels above. Paprise means that he has to call over Swaith as well. And really, Low and Tilting are so far ahead.
Yep.
They are a 3-item Caitlyn who's got 300 CS at 27 minutes into this game. I mean, you feel like if this was Ray's playing Caitlyn last game, he's starting to take over at this point.
Yep.
But I actually can't remember Low being in a team fight for the last 20-odd minutes.
I mean, that's why he's on 300 CS. You see Tiger grouping significantly more. He's just been farming up the side lanes with his support. Tilting has been caught out a few times, trying to play into 3 as Low is not there, so kind of playing with fire. But we're talking about Shock. And this game, you do not... Like, I don't care if you're a Galio and you fall 50 CS down if you're making the plays, but you judge the Galio on the use of the ulti, and they just have not found one successful engage, really. He went bot lane once.
Yeah, that was a good play.
Yep.
But I think that was Rosie's force as opposed to his proactiveness. And everything else, I completely agree with you.
It's just fizzled. They've tried to use it defensively multiple times, but it just does not seem to be working. Gold lead ever so slightly increasing for the Bombers. Gone up to 3,000 here.
You can see right now, Voidstar picked up, Bloodthirster picked up, QSS picked up right now for Tiger. So they are starting to come online as far as items go. That's going to be a PD finished for Paprise. So he is still in this game. Cannot, like, I hate this. Like, 80 CS down, he's 1-2-1. He's being pushed to his next, inhibitor turret multiple times, but he's still just getting farmed.
He's still gangplank.
He's still gangplank.
Yep.
2,000 gold down, though. I like it. I'm a happy, happy boy.
One of the first times we've seen the GP actually be behind. But it's up to Sleeping to be able to punish. Sure, he's taken the outer, he's taken the inner. But as soon as he tried to dive the in here, felt like it's just a completely different game.
To Tilting means the door has to come up. See whether they land any poke. They do. However, Luch has to immediately burn that redemption to keep himself out of harm's way.
That's a pretty nice interaction there with the Braum. Can apply that passive, and if you can look for a play.
30 minutes into the game, the last Dragon that we're going to see, apart from the Elder, is going to be Infernal, so that is worth something. And Bombers, because they have complete bottom side control, can actually just send Sleeping there to solo. Yep. That is a huge deal.
Absolutely. Complete control of the Dragons so far for the Bombers.
Oh, potential face check, however, coming out of Seb. He will get jumped on immediately. No ultimate to follow, so we'll just slide over the wall. Luch just used his ulti as well. I cannot believe Tectonic did not pull the trigger there. They see right now that Ezreal is in a side wave. Just no proactive play coming out of either of these teams. And I feel like we're going the distance. I feel like this is a 6-item game.
Yeah, 100%. We're already 30 minutes in. Gold lead As time goes on, just going to be more and more insignificant here. Summoners were available for Luch. Seb didn't have flash though, so if they committed, Jarvan, EQ ulti, burn the Galio ulti proactively for the second time this game. The one time they've done it, it worked out. But they don't choose to again, once more. Tiger using his ulti for a little bit of vision here, walking down. They're just trying to set up around the Baron. Sleeping has so much pressure in the side lane. It'll be interesting to see if he can actually get anything done underneath this turret. He's ignored Gangplank a little bit and looked for the turret. We see this turret is on about half-ish. Jesus, that was hard to say. HP, but they're going to get the mid one.
They certainly are. Ingo's tilting, looking for Luge. They do get his flash out, burn the ulti from tilting. However, Swathe doesn't follow.
That's another hard commit, or half commit. They burn EQ out of Swathe. They don't go through with the ulti. They do burn the flash, but that's raw mult down for tilting. Just another tool they do not have.
They don't pick anything up. You can see, meanwhile, in the base, Sleepy Trouble Bubble actual hits.
Oh,
Headbutt,
big
pole,
combo.
flash out of Rosie. That's going to be onto Shock. Low now finally enters a team fight. Gets a couple of auto attacks down, but you can see Paprise had to back away on the top side of the map. Did get ulted by the Fiora.
So, we'll give Sleeping some time with his turret. Pushing that wave in, but no, he's actually floating over to the Baron a little bit.
Baron
TP's
has
both
been
available.
started up. You have to know that this is happening right now if you are Tectonic. They gain access through mid-wave. You can see Flag goes in, and instead Bombers just pull away. Sleeping is inside the base. Will get the turret. However, goes down quite low. Paprise now will have to fight on an inhibitor.
But that is the biggest deal. The turret going down, that was the one thing keeping Sleeping out of the base. He's actually got an Iron Elixir. Whether he bought that or got it from a Klepto proc, who knows, but the turret goes down. That means he doesn't have that extra layer of safety for the GP. Does have his flash available now, but you have to think as soon as Sleeping matches him in a side lane 1v1, his ulti's up. He can do whatever he likes.
Interested to see how Sleeping goes down this path now. Ooh, actually, Tiger gets a lot of damage onto low.
Yeah,
We'll
it was a
just be able
single
to
Q,
heal it up.
doing like a third of the Caitlyn's health bar there. Only level 15.
And it's an
both
outright
AD
Sterix
carries.
that's bought right now for Sleeping. So he is just going to continue with a very aggressive build. Sterix plus Trinity Force
Yep.
just increases those Sheen procs.
Not to mention a subtle thing is he's actually picked himself up 3 pink wards. Because they just gave away the blue on the side of Tectonic. They were down there, the jungle, walked down. And he can kind of walk those pink wards up through the jungle whilst he pushes the lane out. So he can kind of clear out his own vision whilst having the yellow trinket. Doesn't need to sweep up there. Doesn't need to bring his teammates over. He can do it himself.
Just make himself that little bit safer. We see Galio looking towards a death cap right now. Not all that much MR picked up.
Rosie, once again looking for the flank here, is actually trying to get behind the lineup of Tectonic.
But
He's
they're
not
left
on any
sleeping
wards.
alone in that bottom lane. They're going to see Paprise right
They
now
have to
show
force.
top lane. They're going to have to force something. So they go onto the Baron. Swathe just starts hitting it straight away. But if these recalls get stopped, Sleeping will end their game. You can see Scrying Orb used. Tectonic
And
hard
it's already
committing.
down.
Tilting is at half health, as is Swathe. In goes Luge. Over the wall goes Swathe. That is going to be the Galio ultimate. Use stopwatch burnt as well. Inhib down.
Oh,
massive
big combo.
pole. Pushes low back into the Baron pit. He will fall very low. Sleeping picks him up on the back end of that. And you can see that he's just absolutely running over them at the moment. He will fall down. Paprise trying to get the rest of his team out of here. But that is 3 members dead. Tilting will join them. 4 members of dead. And Bombers can just honestly go win this game.
And a big miscommunication out of Tectonic. Paprise was going top, but they had to force the Baron. They'd left Sleeping with the inhib. You know he was going to take that one down, but he actually did before the Baron was even at half HP. He didn't continue to try and end the game. He actually TPs to the team fight and a big combo out of Rosie. Maybe, once again, does miss that one, but around the Baron throws the AD carry of Tectonic into the pit.
I'm so surprised that they actually chased Tilting there and they're looking to break the base. That was a 30-second death timer on everyone. You see that Paprise has cleared out 2 creep wave. Now actually might go down, however, just eat some oranges and is K. Luch goes forward. It's going to be all the base turrets gone as Tiger goes forward. Actually nearly kills Paprise. Swathe now looking for Sleeping. Gets the knock-up. Does some big damage by low, but Sleeping is just very tanky, very far ahead in this game.
But you have to think almost a complete wipe 35-ish minutes into the game, and all they got was 1 inhib. They didn't get the Baron. They didn't even get mid inhib. They split their resources in 2 separate lanes. They took down the turrets. But they're going to have to set up once again around the Baron. Seb trying to clear out some vision right now.
It's a lot of wards.
Yep, that is a lot of wards. But going to get himself a crab as well. You can't sweep that one.
That's a support gold mine right there. I think that like at a certain point, as we take another look at the fight,
Yeah, we see this one. The inhibitor's just gone down. and Paprise is just getting to the team fight. TP will be channeled very soon for the Fiora, but they look for the proactive engage, and all they really get onto is Seb. This is a big combo about to come out of Rosie, and throws low into the pit, which allows Tiger to kind of pick him off in the backlines. He gets so incredibly low, Sleeping takes him down, and they're just completely wiping the floor. Tectonic, I feel like they pulled the trigger on this play way too late. They needed to do this earlier. But unfortunately for them, Sleeping is just so huge. He gets the inhib and he gets the team fight. Best of both worlds.
And they've given him enough time in this game that he is actually team fight ready. He's got himself a GA. He's got himself a Sterix Gauge. This is not a guy that is going to just get popped as we saw happen with Mimic. So I feel like they could have done that 10 minutes before they actually went for the play. Instead, weren't able to get priority. Now you've got a 450 CS, 6-item Fiora knocking on your door with 2 inhibitors down. Not really all that much they can do. How do they defend this Baron now? Tilting gets chunked out. You can see Tiger just willing to go forward. Ultimate used defensively, and Tiger still just looking to harass.
And why are they having to use their cooldowns in the jungle right now? Ulti just they're so far out of their base. They're looking to try and contest the Baron, but you have to think Fiora is just chilling in their base, pushing in that wave bot. He's just applying so much pressure right now. They have a single ward on the pit, so they know it's going to go down, but they're nowhere around.
Yeah, exactly right. This was the Baron that was an inevitability. Bombers, they take what is rightfully there. They've done the due diligence of sweeping out the jungle, making sure they could bring everyone close enough. They're going to be able to pick up a Baron. They might even be able to just go to the bottom side of the map and pick themselves up an Infernal Drake as well.
It's an Elder Drake.
Sorry, Elder
Double their
Drake.
Infernal.
Yep.
They've already got 2 Oceans as well. Pings are going out onto it. Tectonic trying to set up some form of vision.
And this is really risky because now Bombers can just say, hey, if you're going to go posture towards that,
We'll
we'll
take
just
your
ride your
Nexus.
top lane in and take your Nexus. We've got Baron buff. We don't need to do it. Sleeping now going to catch out Swaith.
They're actually rotating over. They're looking for the fight. He knows the jungler is down here, but with Ali in base, walking out of that one, they might just be trying to force them out of the bot side of the map. The only ward around the Elder will get swept out by the Scry Zorb, so almost another uncontested objective, actually.
Yeah,
They're looking to come
potentially going to
over.
look to come over. However, already 9,000 health. And how do they get through the choke point? You see, already Fiora at half health. The heal will be burnt. In goes loose. Big combo out of Rosie, and that will be Tilting falling down. Low now getting engaged on. Good ultimate out of shock, but Paprise just is not there. That's a 5v4. And Bombers will run over the top of them. 2 members dead. Swaith heading for the hills. Sleeping is not going to let him get out. And look how much health he gets back.
Yeah, they don't even care about the Elder Drake, just looking to take the Nexus. Going to walk that wave in with the Baron buff, low. And Paprise going to try clear out the wave, but they can't.
Yeah, cannot do it. The Bombers, they're on the Nexus turrets. You see Swaith trying to get in. Low trying to chase out the carries. However, Tiger is on the back line. Rosie gets ulted up. They're just prioritizing the Nexus turrets, and they will fall down. Baron up creeps on all those supers will mean that Sleeping is just able to take this game. 40 minutes in, Bombers pick up first map.
You have to think that's a big confidence boost for the Bombers there. They were down almost the entirety of the game for the most part. Early game went towards Tectonic. Set up a nice few plays. They had the gold lead, but I mean, discipline stalling, I talked about it. They just stalled with the lead and just waited way too long.
I mean, had one of the most proactive comps they could have. This is my criticism, is they had a really good comp for going backwards. If you got a good comp at going forwards, if you have got a good comp at going back, like, you know, maybe you got yourself a Tarrant, a Janna, something along those lines, you can continue to kite out, stall the game. But they didn't have that comp. They had Jarvan and Galio. However, at the same time, Bombers had a great 4-1 comp, and they played that pristinely. They knew they weren't going to get engaged on. Sleeping just shoved in, was able to accrue such a massive advantage, used the ult on cooldown, and ultimately split pushed his team a victory. Yeah,
that was the very successful Fiora play. But I feel like someone we have to highlight is Rosie. A very early game, first 10 minutes, looked honestly kind of rubbish. That engage down the bot lane just cost them their turret, cost his AD carry so much CS on the Ezreal, but then turned it around. I think a few of their teamfight victories were on the back of those flash combos forward. Multiple members had a real up and down performance.
And you have to say that his creativity was also fun to watch. The pole into the headbutt back into Baron pit. Meant Baron hit low twice in that fight and really did chunk him out. I think that that's the kind of play that Rosie at his best produces often. However, we haven't seen it in a couple of splits, and it's good to see it back.
Yeah, 100%. And, we also see he's pretty creative. You mentioned creativity, right? But he's a big flank alley. Even when he didn't find the opportunities, but he was looking to kind of like sit in those pockets of cleared vision. He sweeps his way in, pink wards the bush, and kind of just like waits for the opportunity. If he finds it, sure. But in that game, he couldn't, but didn't need to overall.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, when they were just funneling through chokes, trying to contest objectives like a little bit too late. Rosie was just the big no button onto the whole team, and he wasn't taking the first headbutt POV combo. He was taking the one that was going to hit multiple members, and I think that CC was ultimately what secured them the game after they were put in a winning position.
Yeah, 100%. And the carries, you talk about Tiger, as well as like Sleeping was obviously like the big point in that game, but talking about Luch and Tiger as well, they kind of just sat back for the most part on the Zoe. Didn't do too much, honestly. Just farmed it up in the mid lane against the Galio, and Ezreal just kind of did the same thing. They were just happy to kind of sit there and let Sleeping do his business in the side lane. As soon as he got ahead, they were happy to just like kind of sit back. They were forcing a pick. Seb, I guess, was like trying to find picks here and there, but they would just take what they could. They took the Galio ulti and walked away, and then it ended up being enough for Sleeping in the side lane to basically just end the game.
Yeah, everyone just did their job. And with that, Bombers pick up game number 1. So to break that one down a little bit further, let's throw it over to the analyst hangout.
Thank you very much, guys. Yes, Bombers able to take out game number 1. I'm joined once again by Charlie and Parbu. Parbu, in the pre-game chat we had before this series started, you said Sleeping was the person you thought could pick up his game, take his team to victory, and he did. Being a top laner yourself, what did you think of his performance today?
It was a lot better out of Sleeping. I don't think it's his, his true potential. It's not like the true Sleeping, but it was definitely a lot better. As soon as you pick Fiora, the game is focused on you, that you are a large portion of the game. If you're unable to split push and unable to pressure, like the game is really hard. So he definitely was in a good spot. He didn't take all his opportunities he had to punish Paprise. There were definitely a few missed opportunities with large stacked waves that they definitely could have dove Paprise on, but he did definitely step up here, and this is, it's a good step in the right direction for him.
Yeah, I feel like part of that, though, is his communication with his jungler and even like with the mid laner in terms of leans up. I feel like as a team, Bombers didn't play towards him in the early game at all, and it was just down to him to get through his laning phase and like push his lead himself. I feel like with a more cohesive team, Paprise would have died a lot more, and you would have seen him being zone off waves if Seb can walk up, try to control that topside jungle using the pressure, and then like get a bigger lead.
Yeah, Sleeping was generating like large trade health advantages in lane. So if his team actually played around him, they definitely could have punished Paprise a lot more for a lot of errors he was making.
Yeah.
Both of these teams have been known not to be proactive at times. What do you think needs to change heading into game 2? And this game went for around 40 minutes. Do you think the games that will be going into this series will also go for the same amount of time?
Yeah, I can see it happening. I don't think proactivity is going to rock up in this series anytime soon. Just run Gathering Storm and just pick the most scaling champions you can, honestly. I like the Caitlyn. I feel like the Caitlyn farmed really well that game, and if he kept going and hit the teamfight phase when Fiora wasn't that ahead, then I feel like Low could have done some work.
Yeah, Loska was definitely in a position to carry that game, but it's just that they lost too much at that point. You just couldn't do anything at that point. There was too many like strong carries. The Fiora was too big.
Well, the Bombers have their engines on. They're on the runway. Guys, do you think they're going to take off and take a 2-0 this series?
It's hard to say, really. I don't know. I think that might have been a one-off. I feel like you kind of just ban the Fiora and then just move forward. And I think Tectonic will take this. I think Tectonic will win this next one, and then it's down to adaptation for game 3.
Yeah, if either is the first team to adapt will win this series. If the Bombers can still find like a similar draft and get something off again, they'll do it. But if Tectonic like have a plan for this next game, they should be able to take it.
Well, we'll see very shortly which team will be able to take the second game. But we asked you to send in your questions for Coach Charlie to answer, and we've picked out 5 for him to answer right now. The first one coming in from Esmond, saying, what are some tips on having optimum teamwork in a game of League of Legends?
I think the best advice I can give here is just work on communication to start off with. And I'm not just talking about inside of the game, like outside of the game as well. I don't really agree with like assigning specific communication roles to players. I think it can work on some teams, but I feel like just having an open and honest environment where the players can talk to each other outside of the game really helps.
Yeah, one of the important things is developing like consensus between players. So you want to go into the game with everybody as like-minded as possible, so less things have to be said, and you can talk about more important things in game.
Second question comes in from Jaden, who asks, do you think Ryze is still a great pick in the OPL with the nerf towards his ult, and does he fit Avant's playstyle?
Yeah, definitely. I think he does. It's no secret that we put a lot of priority on Ryze. I think that his ulti makes him really useful in the early game. He can still get lane priority with Dematerializer and just hitting the wave with his E in a lot of matchups. He can have a lot of side lane pressure later on in the game as well. He scales infinitely. Yeah, he's a good champion.
What are your thoughts on him heading into 8.4?
On Ryze, I think the items definitely benefit here. We can get CDR and Mana in the same item now, so 2-item power spike is going to look really good.
Our third question comes in from Alexander, who asks, Charlie, do you still play solo queue? If so, do you try and coach your teammates in-game?
Yeah, look, I do. I play solo queue a lot, and I definitely like to coach my teammates in-game a little bit. Yeah, I play AD carry. I play jungle a little bit. I'm Diamond 2 at the moment. Yeah.
Parby, you're having a cheeky giggle there. What's the story behind this? What's happened?
I don't know. It's just I used to see Charlie a lot in my games. He used to be a challenger Ivan main. Just I don't know. I don't see him too much anymore. He's dropped a bit.
Boring.
Dropped off Ivan?
Yeah, I need to stop, honestly. My hand actually starts hurting when I play for too long. Like, I played World of Warcraft last night and my hand just started hurting, so yeah. No more solo queue.
Our fourth question comes in from Pandy, who asks, who do you believe is the most underrated player overall this split and why?
Underrated? Ooh, that's a difficult one. I think probably sleeping, honestly. I think he has the most potential. I think people are sleeping on him a little bit. And I think, yeah, later on in the split, if he gets more confidence, he gets more synergy with his jungler and mid laner, yeah, he can pop off.
Would you agree with that, Pabu?
Yeah, I think he's definitely got a lot more to show than he has so far.
And our final question comes in from an old friend of the OPL, 528, who says, with New South Wales heading towards winter and colder temperatures, do you think the man bun will make a return? If no, then why not?
Yes.
Just yes. Promise?
No. If it grows long enough by split 2, for sure. But I don't see that happening.
Gonna hold you accountable.
Yeah, I'm not gonna cut it top. I'm not gonna cut it top. We'll see what happens.
Thank you so much to everyone for sending in your questions and congratulations on your mystery skin. We're gonna have game 2 coming up soon. But first, a heap of our OPL pros got together to make a video on how to help a friend out. That'll be coming up after these highlights.
Really nice setup. You can see there's multiple people here. Sleepy Trouble Bubble, Ingo's tilting. They burn Summoner spells, and they pick up First Blood. Proc. They go in. Seb takes a lot of damage. That's a nice orange to save his life. Flashes after him. Actually trades 1-for-1. The ultimate goes down. Rosie stunned up. In comes Shock, layering the CC beautifully. Swaith just lives on the back end of that fight. Continual slows are coming out there. In goes Rosie. Massive knocker. And you can see front to back team fight. Tilting will just live. No, he will fall down. Inhib down. Massive pole. Pushes low back into the Baron pit. He will fall very low. Sleepy picks him up on the back end of that. And you can see that he's just absolutely running over them at the moment. He will fall down. Paprice trying to get the rest of his team out of here. In goes loose. Big combo out of Rosie. And that will be Tilting falling down. Low now getting engaged on. Good ultimate out of Shock. But Paprice just is not there. That's a 5v4. Baron up creeps on all those supers will mean that Sleeping is just able to take this game. 40 minutes in, Bombers pick up first map.
You can be honest. If it's not good, just tell me, like...
So if I mess up, I just do it again?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Friends are often the first to notice that things might not be okay.
These tips might help you to give your mates some support if they need it.
Take time to notice changes.
Are they hanging out less?
Did they seem tired, sad, or messier?
Do they get angry more often?
If you do notice changes, try and check in.
Asking, are you okay, can be all it takes.
You don't need to force anything.
You just want to give them space to talk.
The next step is to listen.
Don't rush to judge or try to fix anything.
Just let them know you care and that they are important.
Sometimes a friend listening is just what they need.
Other times your friend might need support.
You can ask, is there anything I can do?
Remember, you don't have all the answers, but helping your friends stay connected
can really make a difference.
Sometimes, if this isn't working,
you can recommend they seek help.
You can suggest an appointment with a GP or let them know that they can talk to someone at Headspace.
You can even suggest going with them.
For more information, you can head to headspace.org.au.